Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into some pretty cool stuff today, exploring how meaning gets built differently in Chinese and English grammar. We've got some really interesting educational materials to work with here.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, Both languages can express super complex ideas, but the ways they go about it are like totally different blueprints.
Right from the start, we can see that with word order, right? English is all about that subject-verb-object structure. I eat apples. Simple.
Super strict in English, that SVO. But Chinese, it's a bit more free-flowing. You often see SVO, sure, but adverbs can kind of jump around. Like you could say, I yesterday eat apples to mean I ate apples yesterday.
So it's not just switching words up randomly. It's like they can highlight different parts of the sentence by moving things around.
Exactly. Maybe they want to put more emphasis on when something happens, so yesterday gets moved up front.
Cool. Okay, so what about verbs? English, they're always changing on us. I am, he was, they are. It's never ending.
Lots of conjugation going on in English to show the tense, who's doing the action, and how many. But Chinese verbs, they're like rocks, solid, don't change much at all. You figure out the tense from the context. Time words like yesterday, or these things called aspect particles, they're like little tags that give extra info about the action if it's ongoing or finished, stuff like that. So even though the verb go stays the same, I yesterday go market clearly means I went to the market yesterday.
So you really got to pay attention to everything surrounding the verb in Chinese.
Context is king.
Gotcha. And then there's the whole plural thing. We just slap an S on most nouns and boom, we're done.
Yeah, English loves that S. But in Chinese, nouns don't usually have a special plural form. You figure out if it's more than one from the context, or they just straight up tell you with a number. 3 book, you just know it means 3 books.
So it's more about the quantity itself, not so much changing the noun to show it's plural. Okay, measure words. This is where things get interesting. We have a few, like a cup of tea. But Chinese takes us to a whole other level, right?
Big time. In Chinese, almost any time you're talking about a specific quantity of something, you need a measure word that goes with that type of noun. You can't just say 3 dog. You need a special measure word just for dogs.
So it's not just a grammar rule. It's like it's baked into how they think about objects and quantities.
Right. It forces you to categorize things in a certain way.
Super interesting. Okay, articles, those little words, the, a, and, we use them all the time in English.
But in Chinese, nope, no articles. So if you say, I see dog, you figure out from what's being said whether it's a specific dog or just any dog.
Again, context doing the heavy lifting.
Yep.
What about adjectives, like a red dress?
You put adjectives before the noun in Chinese too, but they often use this little word D to connect them, so it'd be like red to dress.
A tiny word, but a big job grammatically. All right, and what about forming questions? In English, we often move the verb around, like, do you speak English?
Chinese keeps it simpler. Often, they just add a question particle at the end of a regular sentence, so you happy. Plus, a question particle basically means, are you happy? No rearranging needed.
Straight to the point. Love it. And finally, pronouns and gender. We've got he, she, and it, each with a different sound and meaning.
This is where it gets fascinating. In spoken Chinese, the pronoun for he, she, and it all sound the same. The written forms are different, but when you're talking, you got to figure out the gender from the situation.
So again, context is key.
Definitely.
So what we're seeing here is that Chinese and English really have totally different ways of putting sentences together. Whether it's tense, how many of something there are, or even just pointing to a specific thing, the strategies they use are fascinatingly different.
It really highlights how each language has developed its own unique way of structuring thought and communication.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Could these differences in grammar actually shape the way people see the world, depending on what language they speak? Like, what if the way we think about language structure in English isn't the only way, or even the best way? Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.